So Russia's invasion of Ukraine would begin with Ukrainian strikes on Russian annexed Crimea would be extremely dangerous. This according to the Kremlin, after the New York Times reported that U.S. officials were warming to the idea of helping Kyiv attack the peninsula. Crimea, which is internationally recognized as part of Ukraine, was seized by Moscow and declared annexed in 2014. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the peninsula, like much of the Ukrainian land seized since February, is historically Russian. Soon after sending troops into Ukraine, February 2022, Russia seized swaths of southeastern Ukraine that enabled it to create a land bridge from Russia to Crimea, one of the staging areas for what Moscow calls its special military operation. Outside Ukraine and Russia, Boris Pistorius was sworn in as Germany's new defense minister today. Members of the Bundestag applauded Mr. Pistorius, who follows in the footsteps of former defense minister Christine Lambrecht, who resigned from her post last week after a series of missteps. Like Lambrecht and Chancellor Olaf Scholz, he belongs to the Social Democrats. Before his appointment, he was interior minister of the state of Lower Saxony. In the past, he was a supporter of diplomatic and friendly relations with Russia, but changed his mind after Russia's invasion of Ukraine and now supports a stronger German army. Meanwhile, Mr. Pistorius has had his first meeting as defense minister with his U.S. counterpart, Lloyd Austin. Among the issues discussed are further arms deliveries for Ukraine.
Welcome here in Germany in the Ministry of Defense. I'm very glad, pleased and honored to welcome you here as my first visitor since being in office. We have a lot of issues to discuss, and I'm glad that we have the opportunity today and tomorrow in Ramstein.
I very much look forward to working together with you. And it's great to be back in Germany. You know, I've got a lot of fond memories of your country from my first assignment here as a young officer. And Germany remains one of our most important allies. So we'll continue to support Ukrainian people as they resist Russian aggression and defend their sovereign territory. I'd like to thank the German government for all that it has done to strengthen Ukraine's self-defense, and your contributions of security assistance and training for Ukraine's defenders have been invaluable.
Meanwhile, a Russian student, Vladimir Maraktayev, is stranded in South Korean airport since November 2022 after fleeing mobilization. He has been speaking about why he left Russia, why he thinks that he should be treated as a refugee, his daily routine, and also future plans. We'll bring you more of some of his experience at Incheon Airport. But let's take you to the founder of Russia's Wagner mercenary group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, who has said that his forces had taken the village of Klishchivka on the edge of the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut, but said that Ukrainian forces could not be forced from Bakhmut swiftly. In a transcript of an audio message published by Prigozhin's press service, the Wagner chief said, quote, "We can safely say that the settlement of Klishchivka, which is one of the important suburbs of Bakhmut, has been completely taken under control of Wagner PMC units." Now, Klishchivka, which had a pre-war population of around 400 people, is located around 6 miles, that's 9 kilometers from the city of Bakhmut, where Wagner units have been locked in a months-long battle of attrition with Ukrainian forces. And elsewhere, a team of Ukrainians learned the mining techniques from experts at a Cambodian Mine Action Center, CMAC, at a minefield in Cambodia's northwest Battambang province today. The team of 15 Ukrainians were led to a minefield where CMAC officials demonstrated the detection and control detonations of several mines. Now, a demining expert from the State Emergency Service of Ukraine said the training was helpful and interesting. The team of Ukrainians will next travel to Siem Reap to visit a landmine museum. CIMAC officials said the Cambodia plans to send its experts to Poland in the near future to train Ukrainians. Mr. Temitope Olodo, security analyst, joins us for more on this invasion of Ukraine. Welcome to the program. First, what do you make of, the Russian students? I've earlier shared the story with you, who says he's been staying at the South Korean airport after fleeing Russia's mobilization, and says, what awaits him is detention with police. Police might will hand him over to the military, and then next he's off to the conscription office, and most likely he will be sent to the front line.
It's a very sad story, and again, this explains the complexity of the asylum rules. Unfortunately, some of the requirements for asylum are quite clear. It must be political opinion. It should be either religion and other things along the about 6 category. I don't know if he was advised properly, and there are pro bono lawyers out there in South Korea that might be able to help him out. But my view is that it will fall under political opinion, in the sense that he's a gentleman that disagrees with the Russian present political stance, that they should be fighting a war, or he should actually fight in Ukraine, in what is ongoing in Ukraine. And his decision is that he does not want to subscribe to that, and that means that he's going to face dehumanized situation, is going to be prosecuted. And on that basis, from a political opinion perspective, his asylum application should be successful, because he will have evidence to back that up. Unfortunately, I don't think he's been advised properly, because that word being prescribed to work, to join the army, is not covered by the refugee law. And this is a law that was created after the Second World War, so you can understand that certain things might not be covered now, even including some certain class of people who might be discriminated. And that's the reason why he needs proper legal advice. I worked in this industry a little bit with UK immigration service, and that's the reason why I know a little bit that I know about it. But I think he might need to get legal advice going forward.
While we're still on the subject of Russia, the Kremlin today said that Russian strikes on Russian-annexed Crimea would be extremely dangerous. What's your take on the likelihood that U.S. officials, are thinking of helping Kyiv attack the peninsula?
We're in a very dangerous situation at the moment, because we know that there is a meeting that is taking place tomorrow, where the allies are getting together, and in the course of the conversation, one of the things they intend to do is give more weapons. And we know, just like any big or major meetings like that, we could see that Denmark, Sweden, Finland, they are all coming out and saying we're going to give this amount of weapon. Denmark just recently said they will be giving $113 million of military aid, while Sweden is giving 3.4 billion of Sweden currency worth of weapons. The UK, of course, have released 600 Bristol missile and promising and trying to push Germany to do the same. But Germany is trying to resist. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. But Russia, of course, have warned that any military aid that helps, or they call it, Ukraine in this war, will be deemed as a proxy war, as it is already, and that there will be repercussion. That is what we're hoping doesn't happen, because if Russia gets defeated, in a very disgraceful way, they might want to resort to the use of nuclear weapon, which is what everybody is shying away from. And of course, Germany does not want to face the wrath of Russia. So this is a war that many people are hoping could be finished quickly, on the table of negotiation. A political situation would be a best way forward. But for what we are seeing, we don't think we are anywhere near it.
And, just quickly to ask your thoughts, we've had several events happen in the course of the week. The Dnipro attack over the weekend, missile strikes. Of course, Russia says it's not responsible. That is Ukrainian. And then we had yesterday the helicopter crash, which investigation is still ongoing as to, what happened. What do you take of, all of these things that's happening? And this is also coming on the back of what Russia is saying, that they're making offers for peace, but it seems the West and Ukraine is listening to the West and not wanting to agree to their terms.
Yeah, I think the West have a different view of what Russia is offering. And as far as they're concerned, what Russia is offering is not a peace deal because, Ukraine wants to keep hold of all its land. But we all know that that might not be really possible because there's the Russian-speaking aspect of Ukraine, which, Russia believes that they should be left to have their own independence or have even claimed independence. But let's look at the unfortunate situation of the helicopter crash. I know it's still ongoing. The investigation is still ongoing. But if it was a missile strike or if Russia had an hand in it, I know by now that information will have been in the public domain. So this seems to be one of those unfortunate situations and the loss of the interior minister of Ukraine. And we sympathize with this family. This is a wartime and there's a lot of casualties that will happen. We know Russia have been denying that, for example, when they bombed the hotel in Ukraine, they were claiming that it was a headquarters or a place for NATO. So the question is, were you trying to bomb where NATO was? Because that would have escalated even this situation beyond where it is now. So there's a lot of mistakes that will happen. There's a lot of people that will lose their life in the process. Of course, there is no doubt that what Russia is doing now is tantamount to a war crime because they are hitting civilian environment. And these are areas which are very clear in international law for students of international law. So there is no doubt about that. But the question then is, why is Russia so tight up at this time? Because they feel the West is not helping, is the one that is prolonging this war. Because if the West was not involved, maybe Ukraine will have come to the table of negotiation. But Ukraine is getting enough weapons. They're getting another 20,000 soldiers being trained, and there seems to be a stalwart. We are hoping, the world is hoping that this issue could be resolved quickly because of the living cost, because of people like me who are wearing 3-4 shirts in the UK because of the energy crisis that's ongoing, not just only affecting Nigeria, the UK, but affecting other countries with petrol, grains and everything. So we need this war to be over because we just came out of a pandemic. We moved into this war. If this war could be over, at least the world could have a sign of relief and people, at least economies of countries could improve and we could have a better life that we're having right now because the Ukraine-Russia war is really affecting the globe, even if it's not affecting us from a military perspective.
Indeed, I do agree with you. It is a war that should come to an end. We'd like to thank you. We appreciate your time always on the program. Mr. Temitope is a security analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.